How's it going, folks? Cam Griffin from Binui Family Grazing. I'm just down this morning clipping some pasture on one of the lease blocks, and I thought I'd quickly touch on a couple of reasons as to why I do it, some of the benefits, and then when to do it, how often, that type of thing. Firstly, we've had such a really good year in terms of rainfall and forage growth. I haven't physically been able to get enough cattle to keep on top of that amount of feed and keep up with the amount of land that I've slowly been able to accumulate in lease blocks. And on top of that, I was probably at the start of the non-growing season, I was being a little bit more conservative than I would have liked with my recovery periods, and so I was so focused on what forage we had ahead of us, what I had to get trampled down. Even though I was still monitoring the recovery of the blocks that we'd grazed, I should have prioritized to come back sooner before the plants that were recovering went to seed head, when they were full of energy and they were actively growing, rather than tried to trample down more feed and tried to get on top of all the other blocks. I should have left them and probably come in and just clip them around this time. And so now we're coming out of our non-growing season and we're in the middle of spring. It's the 21st of September. We're going into these hotter days. We've had probably 5-6 days over 26-27 degrees, and we're forecast with this La Nina weather pattern to get a lot of rain. So I've got to get my ingredients and I've got to get my recipe for growing forage ready to go and down pat. I need to get everything a plant needs to grow. So it needs nutrients, it needs sunlight, it needs the right temperature for that species, depending on whether it's a warm season or cool season forage. And then you obviously need moisture, so you need rainfall. And coming out of winter, our biggest and our most limiting factor for plant growth rate is going to be that sunlight penetration. We've got so much senescent and frosted off grass that's not actively growing, which is shading out the crown of the plant from receiving any sunlight and for new forage and new leaf, new vegetation to come through. So that's probably that's probably the main reason why we clip, is we're trying to restart that plant. It's like a restart button. So cattle are like our biological restart button, and when you've got enough animal numbers, maybe doing 4 or 5 moves a day, then you probably don't ever really have to worry about clipping. And one thing with that is obviously clip coming into your growing season. Don't clip at all going into your non-growing season, winter or summer, whenever it is for you. But you want to be certain that you're going to get some rainfall. So if you think you may or may not get any rain, then I probably would leave it, because you can, if you need, go back and graze that that high fiber, low protein, Haydoff bulk feed. You can feed supplement and really push cattle to graze it, and it's a bit of an insurance, if you find yourself in a drought. But if you think you're going to get some rain, it's quite certain. We've got forecasts for record wet season this year, for a record wet season, and I'm pretty confident. It's just starting to sprinkle a bit now. So basically what we're doing is we're just coming along and giving the pasture a haircut. We're taking off all of that decaying lignified plant matter that's just blocking sunlight, and it's not actively growing, it's not producing any feed, and we're bringing it back to probably 5-6 inches. You could probably go a bit taller, so that the plant can regrow nice and soft and tender and vegetative, and it's a lot more nutritious and nutrient dense feed for our cattle. And after all, we are in the solar collection business, because a plant, 95% of a plant's energy is derived from sunlight, and only 5% comes from the soil. So if you have 100 kilos of plant matter or a 100 kilo bale of hay, 95% of that came from energy from the sun, and only 5% came from the soil. So we need to be really focused on capturing as much sunlight as we can. And if we get rid of that dead matter, that's going to lead to a more healthy microbiome around the roots, because you've got more liquid carbon being dispersed and pumped down there, so that's going to be cycling and functioning a lot better. I would recommend trying to keep the plant around that 6 inches. You could even go a bit higher, just depending, and that's just so that you leave enough solar panel, enough leaf. So try just leave a few tillers on the plant so that it can still collect sunlight and it's not relying on stored energy in its roots. Clipping's also great for weed control and woody regrowth, because a lot of those species that you see cattle preferentially avoiding, they're not as palatable because they've gone to maturity, and usually they're quite bitter. You'd be surprised, a lot of weeds, once they start growing short and vegetatively, they are quite palatable. So you can use a mulcher or a slasher. If I had the option, I'd probably prefer to use a mulcher, and basically the difference between that and the slasher, like what we've got on now, is that the slasher spins on a horizontal axis and a mulcher spins on a vertical axis. And the benefit to the mulcher is that it lays that organic matter out evenly over where you've just clipped, whereas the slasher, because it has two blades, but it acts as one big blade that cuts the material, that forage. It throws it into a bit of a windrow, so sometimes you can find concentrated areas where the slasher's thrown that grass, but there's not much you can really do there. This is a tractor of one of the landowners, and this slasher is Clint's, this old slasher, so I found a PTO for it, asked if I could borrow it. The landowner, Matt, he's happy for me to use it. I've just been putting diesel in it so that it makes his property look nice as well. I want his farm to look like a lush kind of showpiece, something to be proud of, and hopefully that helps in renewing leases, that type of thing. Anyway, folks, I'll probably just keep on clipping and hopefully get most of this farm done today. I hope you enjoyed the little video. I know it's only a short one, but they're a lot easier to do, and I think I'm going to be able to put them out a lot more frequently than a lot longer edited videos, which take up a lot of time, especially when still working in town. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and see you on the next video. Catch ya.